welcome to this very special episode of TFL Talk. And to my left is Andre, and to my right is my man
Andre.
Nathan Adlin, and today we are doing something very special because it's our annual Top 10 show. That's right, the top 10 most fun to drive cars from all of the cars that we've driven in, well, 2015. And most of these are 2016 models, but some are 2015s, but they are the most fun to drive. But before we get to that, I have a very special announcement, and that is thank you for all of you who bought this 001 design TFL t-shirt. And as a thank you to you guys, we're going to do our holiday show next week, and we're going to let you ask traditionally the questions that you want answered, and one of you will get this shirt. So at the end of this episode, we're going to let you know how to email us your questions, and then we'll pick one at random, and you'll get this shirt as a thank you for all of your support. And Nathan, let's start with the top 10.
Absolutely. So number 10 on this list is the Mercedes-Benz S550.
Yes. So why do we pick a Mercedes-Benz S-Class?
449 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. I think that's the reason.
That's one of the reasons. I think when I drove the Mercedes S550, it was an occasion. You know, you get in the car, it's a special occasion. It's fast, it's quiet, it's so comfortable.
And it gets you
dates. Yeah, we had to find a way to clean up that term. You can cruise, and you seriously look like $1 million riding in that car. You're absolutely right. It's an occasion. It's a special event. It's your birthday. It's something very, very special when you drive that car.
Yeah, those massaging seats.
That's really nice.
The air suspension.
Yes, that's
the cologne, the perfume system in the car.
And the bottom line is that it also looks really good. I mean, it looks like $1 million as well. It's just a great car.
Yeah, it's the kind of car that, well, my wife was, let's say, very happy when I brought it home, and I got some bonus points.
That's as far as we're going to go with that. Now, number 9 on the list is the MINI JCW.
John Cooper Works.
John Cooper Works.
Yeah, now, I got to drive that car on the East Coast at a racetrack, and that car is a hoot. It's the most powerful, the fastest Mini that they've ever built. It is crazy, crazy goofy because it's got a lot of torque going through the front wheels. How much? 228 and
236 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah. It's a lot of power to put through the front wheels. And then the most fun thing about it is you can get this relatively expensive, I think it's like $2,500 aftermarket exhaust, where you get a little remote control switch. And you can see that video by clicking above. And basically all you do is click the switch and it opens up the baffles in the exhaust. Nice. It's like a Camaro or a Corvette, right? And all of a sudden you get this like Hell Kitty engine note out of this little tiny Mini.
It's an angry little car, but let's move on to number 8, which is an unusual one. It's the Volvo XC90.
The 2016 model, right?
Yeah, brand new model.
One. Why did we pick that?
And why is it above the Mini?
Yeah, that's a really good question,
So
Robin.
here's my take on the Volvo XC90. It's a departure. It's so much better than the previous model. The interior is amazing. It's got the twin charged engine, right? Supercharged and turbocharged. And
it's a technology tour de force.
Yes, and it works. The technology actually works.
Yeah, the bottom line for me is that 2 things. One of the best interiors, period, and an amazing driving vehicle. Volvo kicked it out of the stadium, and on top of all that, it's a vehicle that I feel really represents the very best in that market, and I kind of enjoy driving it.
What makes it fun to drive in my book is the infotainment system. By far the best infotainment system that any manufacturer has come up with, because it's so frustrating to get into some of these cars and you're like, hey, all I want is it to work. Just work. I just want to turn up the volume, and there's no volume knob. Or you just want to get out of the navigation and it won't shut up. The Volvo Intuitive, basically they copied the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And an iPad. It's big.
iPad,
big screen.
But it works, and that's what makes it fun to drive. Next one, Nathan.
Yeah, the next one. Oh boy, this is a great one. It's the brand new Lexus GSF, and Andre and I had a chance to play with that very recently. Ooh.
I didn't drive it, so why is it fun?
467 horsepower, 389 pound-feet of torque. It's basically the RCF, but stretched to a 4-door, and I totally believe that it actually drives a little bit better than the RCF. And man, it just has so much spirit. It sounds amazing. It's fun to really fun to drive, and it's really expensive, like $85,000.
Yeah, almost $85,000. But we had it on the track, back to back with an RCF.
Yes.
And the GSF, in my opinion, was a little bit better on the track. I mean, it's a longer wheelbase.
Yep, longer wheelbase.
You got the sound, there's still the sound of the V8.
The balance is very different between the two, and you sit in a different position as well. It's a more comfortable car, and it's actually one of the few Lexus I would seriously consider owning.
Now, plus the RCF, there is no back seat, usable back seat really. So
not for humans.
If you're a family person, then the GSF is the way to go.
That's the way to go.
Now the next car is a car that you got to drive in snow, which I thought was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that was great. It's the brand new Chevy Camaro V6. Now, I know a lot of you are going, wait a minute, I don't think you should have a V6 in there. Wrong. That V6 is a screamer. It's the same one that's in the ATS, except it's not turbocharged or anything else like that. It normally aspirated, properly powerful, sounds amazing, and really moves the new Camaro around like you can't believe, because it's a lighter car. And that engine puts out 335 horsepower. It's a V6.
That's crazy. 284
pound-feet of torque, and the 6-speed manual was fantastic. One of the best vehicles in its class, and absolutely enjoyable. And our cameraman behind, Ian, absolutely fell in love with it. He wouldn't let go of the car door before we left.
Now, the one thing I have to give Chevy a lot of credit for is they actually converted a muscle car into a proper sports car, right?
Absolutely.
They made it smaller.
Yep.
They made it more nimble.
Yeah, much more.
And they made it fun to drive. What more do you want?
Just really excellent job, General Motors.
All right, Andre, now you had a lot of experience behind the wheel of the next car, which is?
The Jaguar F-Type R all-wheel drive convertible.
In fact, if it was up to me, it would be #1. But it's #5 on this list because it's #5, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most fun I had in the car because it's a gentleman's car, right? It's fast. The one I had was the convertible all-wheel drive. So you got all-weather performance if you have the right tires, and you can scare people at the traffic lights.
Yeah, 550 horsepower, right?
Yeah, and the sound when you open up the baffles is one of the best sounding V8s on the market, I think.
It is a great car. I only drove it on the track, but that was worthwhile in itself, and I think that added a couple gray hairs to Roman's head.
You know what adds gray hairs to my head on that car? I don't fit. It's really tight.
It's a little tight, yeah. It's a little tight.
And that seat has this weird kind of contour where it pokes in the middle of my back.
Well, it's British.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's kind of like one of those skinny suits, right?
Skinny. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know about that.
I wouldn't know either. All right, what's next, Nathan?
Okay, it's one of my favorite vehicles that I feel should be near the top of the list, and that is the brand new Mazda Miata. Absolutely one of the best driver's cars I've driven this year. It is absolutely in tune with what you do.
Now, we had a big argument about this because Nathan felt like it should be farther down the list and not #4. And the reason that I didn't want to put it farther down on the list was because I felt that what Mazda did was they perfected what they'd already done before, right? Basically, they took the car, they made it better looking, they gave it a little bit more fuel-efficient engine, they gave it a little bit more pizzazz, but they didn't do anything new, right? There's no electricity, there's no turbo, it's just the same car, but done better.
No electricity?
Yeah, no battery power.
Okay.
No hybrid.
Well, okay. What's a hybrid with the full carbon system?
No hydrogen, no something. Just, because the first Miata basically redefined the British sports car, right?
Yeah.
And in this generation, I was hoping for them to do it and redefine it and take it to the next level. Not just redefine the British sports car, but actually, redefine it in a way that
not evolve it, but do a revolution, basically.
Yeah, make it hybrid, make it electric, make it turbocharged. I don't know.
I think the difference is that you were let down by what you were hoping for versus I looked at it individually and said, okay, I put my big ass in there, and it was great. So we're going to move on to #3, and no surprise here, the brand new Ford Mustang GT.
Yeah, we matched this up against the Jaguar, and people were like, why? Why would you match it up?
Because it's fun to do, guys.
Because we do it for fun.
God, it's fun.
It's fun.
And miles per gallon, right? The line lock feature where you can just sit there and burn
I hate that, by the way. I think it's this. I just don't think it's a great idea. But what is a great idea? Independent rear suspension.
Yep.
Suspension is what my word was. 435 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, going through a beautiful 6-speed manual transmission. Really fantastic car to drive, and a real driver's car. I think it's much better than the vehicle it replaces.
absolutely. It's a pony car. It's a muscle car.
It is, but...
And people may be wondering, why is the Camaro so high and the Mustang so low? Well, because one is a 6 and one is an 8.
Right, we haven't driven the brand new SS yet. That's a long story. Nor have we touched the convertible or the Turbo 4. But what we have driven is number 2. And that, I think we all can agree, should be way up on the list. And that is the brand new Chevrolet Corvette.
Yeah, they really, in the C7, they really knocked it out of the ballpark. So, you know, the old Corvette, I got into the thing, I completely fell in love with it. But when I had to kind of sit in the car and I saw that they put carpeting on the doors and just made it completely typical 70s GM, it just took that love affair right away out of me, right? And now the new one is beautiful on the inside.
Yeah, really, absolute kudos to General Motors for finally listening to their customers, and they're producing vehicles that have beautiful interiors. Now the exterior, you can either take it or leave it. Some people really don't like the rear end. I personally think that in terms of profile, the new Chevy Corvette is a stunner, especially in blue.
Yeah, I fell in love with the Corvette as well. We had the coupe, the blue one.
Yeah.
We had the Z51 package.
Yep.
Everything was great on the car except the blind spots. I didn't really appreciate the blind spots in the car, but I was smiling every time I got in the car.
Now guys, we're going to surprise you with number 1. You're just not even going to guess it. Not even for a minute. Really? Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. It is the brand new Hellcat Challenger.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, 707, what else do we need to say?
So, yeah.
One of the things, a lot of you haven't had a chance to drive this vehicle, so from me to you, this is what it is. It is one of those vehicles that if I had hair, it would actually yank it out of the top of my head, and it actually gives you, and it imparts a feeling of power that you've never felt before. From a car that comes directly from an automaker in the United States.
Yeah, the Camaro and the Mustang are now sports cars, but this is true.
This is the muscle car. Yeah, this is the muscle car. This is as red, white, and blue as you can get in terms of what it means to people.
Yeah, it will just tear the tires right off the back wheels. And you know, I've had a lot of conversations with people about the Hellcat, and they'll say, well, it's easy. Anybody can take, like, there are literally STIs that put out 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Literally, right? You can take 1,000 horsepower and put on a 2-liter engine, but that's not the magic of the car, right? The magic of the car is being able to basically funnel all that power and all that heat out of the car and then make it warrantyable. Make it able to be taken to the local dealership and worked upon, right? Because you can put 1,000 horsepower in any car, but how long will you be able to drive it?
Right, and also affordable, right? If you look at the horsepower number, 707 horsepower, 650 pounds of torque, you know, and it's under, what, $70,000 or approximately $70,000?
Even though some dealers are still doing markups, and you guys really should be ashamed of yourselves. But another thing to think about, it is an everyday driver if you need it to be. I mean, it's not exactly what I would call the easiest car to drive every day, or especially in the snow, but it can be done. You can actually drive this car and drive your kids back and forth to school. You can put 3 people in the back seat. It has a real trunk. I mean, it's a car, and it's a car that absolutely is mind-boggling to drive.
Yeah, and unlike any other supercar, which like an Aventador has less horsepower, right? You don't look like, well, I don't want to say D-bag, but you know, that is often the connotation you get when you're in one of the supercars. Here, you know, it's still a Challenger.
Yeah.
It's still based on the same chassis that a 300 is based on, so it's still basically kind of an everyman muscle car.
Loosely related to an old Mercedes. Can you believe that? But
yeah,
most importantly,
chassis, yeah.
and this is the one thing that we want you guys to remember, is that we understand that a lot of you guys are going to say, but it's not as fast on the track as the Corvette and everything. We're not talking about fastest, we're talking about fun. And this thing is fun.
Yeah, and there's nothing, Nathan, and I think you agree with me, like being behind the wheel of a car and pulling up to a stoplight and knowing that there's no other car, right, that's going to be able to touch you should you decide to get into that supercharger.
Now, if I see some tuner guy in a lowered Subaru and I'm a little concerned about him, I might go, oh, I didn't see you, and just kind of look away. But, I mean, yeah, you understand what we're saying. I mean, in terms of factory vehicles, man, you just really can't beat this for fun.
My favorite part is getting in, for the, you know, and pushing the starter button.
Oh, yeah.
And it just burbles up to life, and just really fun.
I love it when the neighbors are just like kind of craning and looking around trying to figure out where that sound is coming from. Now, we do have a bonus, and I'm going to let Andre take it.
Yes, so the bonus car that we were discussing, you know, what should be the bonus? And you drove the BMW X6 M.
That's a crazy car,
Right.
man. Completely bat, you know what? Because it makes no sense. It's like you're sitting on top of this massively tall car and you're flying around the track at a speed that should not be possible in Newton's physical world, and yet it is.
It defies physics. It's, you know, the sloping roof. It's a coupe. It's a four-door coupe. It's just crazy.
I love the mechanics. I can't stand the looks.
So
Sorry, good.
that was one of the reasons it didn't make the list. Another reason was, well, because because it doesn't make any sense.
And I agree. It's fun to pilot something like that. It's like piloting a cruise missile that you're sitting on. But the other side of it is that perhaps there are other vehicles that are even more enjoyable, and those are the ones that make the list. And affordable.
And affordable. Yeah. All right, guys. Next week is our annual holiday show, and what we do at the holiday show, and we've done this for the last several years, is we answer your questions. So if you want a chance to get this T-shirt, the last one-of-a-kind 001 design, all you have to do is put a comment below and ask us a question, or send us an email. What's the email address, Andre?
info@tflcar.com.
Anything you want to know, we're going to pick 10 of those questions. We're going to answer them next week on our holiday show, and one of you guys is going to get not the Hellcat, but the T-shirt. As always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
And Andre.
Saying thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out TFLcar.com for more news, views, and
real-world reviews.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And top 10 lists.
Yeah, see
and
you guys
top
next
10
week. Ciao.
While the interior of the Miata has gained a little bit of space, it's still very simple. How simple? The cup holders are removable because they didn't want them to get in the way of your shifting while you're driving. So I commend you on that, Mazda. Thank you. By and large, I am very, very satisfied. That was a terrible rev match.